Welcome to the Northern Powerhouse interview series, where we're unashamedly spreading good news by interviewing Northern businesses and their successes during the pandemic. Subscribe to be notified of new interviews or click the link in the description to take part if you'd like to be interviewed yourself in a future episode. So welcome to this morning's Northern Powerhouses, our series of business success stories. Today we have with us Michael Ward of Third Foundation. So Michael, thank you for welcome this morning. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do and how your company helps your clients, that would be great.
Everyone, my name is Michael Ward. I'm the Chief Exec of Third Foundation. Third Foundation is on a mission to create time to think. We think lots of businesses squander an inordinate amount of time by employing really bright people and having them do mundane stuff. So we're on a mission to change that. We happen to think that the way we can make a difference is through AI and specifically with data. And so we can automate the mundane and surface the exciting to people who can make a genuine difference. And that's really why we exist. That's what we've been doing for the last 18 months and taking people on a journey with us. A lot of it's people-led because there is you get some bad press about technology and it's just machines, robots, making cups of tea, all that sort of stuff. Our AI is not that. We take people on a journey. We build systems around them in a modular fashion to free them from the mundane.
Wow, I'm totally fascinated. It sounds like we might need to have a second session because I'd love to know more about what you do. Today we're going to talk mainly about your experiences through the COVID situation, if that's okay. But if we get into other situations, but bright people doing mundane things, I think there might be many people, including me on this call, that will go, heck, what am I doing? So definitely want to know more. So I mean, looking back over this last year now, it'd be great to understand how has the COVID outbreak affected you and the business?
Yeah, it was really tough in the early days because, like everybody else, we had to pivot to something new. We were slightly more fortunate in that as a principle, people can work from home. As a principle, we tried to encourage output and not input and effort. And so we had some of those things on our side, but the world stopped. And it's even if you prepared for it, other people weren't. And so it was really, really difficult. And so we just did sensible things. We actually stopped doing lots of other things just to try and really focus on our core activity, because it's really, I think sometimes it's, playing bad hands at poker and you sort of stick with them. We just had to get rid of some stuff that wasn't adding tremendous value right now. And so sometimes just rethinking what we're doing, getting rid of some of the less valuable stuff, which was really nice and sort of longer term visionary stuff. But we really just had to focus down on what can we do to keep everybody safe, sane, busy. What can we do for our clients to make sure we're adding genuine balance and pivoting to issues that they're having right now?
Wonderful. That's great. And it makes perfect sense. It's like, whatever the longer term plans are, right, it's like, what do we do now? Because
you can't be dogmatic, can you? I think, suddenly, we can in certain situations, we dial up and down these tendencies as leaders in different situations, and you can be dogmatic in some instances. But I think there's instances where you need to just recognize to dial certain things down and bunker back it.
It's interesting. We in what we do, we work on with our clients on long-term goals and short-term plans. So our plans are typically 90-day plans. Every quarter we do a 90-day action plan, what we're going to do. But even that was a bit pointless. Any plan that was written in January or February of last year went straight out the window in March. So there's no point having what we're going to do in,
That's exactly the point, isn't it? Yeah. Why spend so long now having our 3-year plan? Of course, we need a vision, and we're not moving from that vision. And that's always the way, right? Some of the tactics around that, the strategy beneath it, bits of it might be dialed up and down, but the tactics below that could entirely change. And it's really those things that were different.
Totally agree. I think that's the thing, goals are where I want to head to, it's that's the direction. The plan is how I'm going to get there. And if I'm blown off target or, I love the analogy of a boat being blown off course by the wind or the tides. I still want to get to the same place. So I need to change direction. I'm probably in changing direction to get to the same place. Perfect. Or changing the bearing, I should say, probably to get to the same place. So what are some of the biggest challenges you would say you had to overcome?
Personally, and for the wider team, is keeping up the spirit of people. beasts that probably in large part need to be together, and the practicalities around being able to speak to people over an office desk, all of that changed, and it changed for everybody. And so, I mean, this is nothing new, it's probably boring, but we had the same challenges. We had to solve that stuff. Fortunately, largely everything we do is online from a delivery and product sort of data perspective. So we're quite lucky in that people can still grant us access. We can still audit. We can still look at systems and setups and tech frameworks and all that sort of stuff. So delivery, not so bad, like teams and keeping morale high and all that sort of stuff. That was a big challenge, really. And we probably didn't get lots of it right, because there'll be some people who are thinking, not the Thursday night drinks again, or not another, like.
We're all different, aren't we? We're all different. Some of us do want, those sort of things. Some of us don't. Some of us just want to know that people care. It's fascinating.
I think it really suits some of our team, not having to speak to many people. And
so, just think about sort of obviously with team comes leadership. And the interesting thing, how would you say your leadership style has had to change, given we're now remote or more remote?
Yeah, that's really tough, isn't it? Like my leadership there is a vision, and hopefully there's a bit of, I can inspire people to get behind that. And then there is a plan, and I've got great people, like the wider exec board is fantastic, really experienced. And just doing that from a distance has been difficult. Whereas I might be a more tactile, touchy-feely, not quite literally, but that sort of person in an office. It really changes remote, doesn't it? So it has to be like more documented, more formal in a sense. And
a lot of people I spoke to have used the word over communicate, almost like, and it's because the thing is that you can't not communicate. So what the reality is, when we were in offices, how you walked into the office would communicate something. So our bearing, even without saying anything, but our bearing, the pitch or tone of our voice, how we're looking, up or down, that all makes a difference. So replacing that's so key. So so it's speaking to you earlier, obviously the business is still moving forward, and what are some of the wins that you've seen over this period?
So we've been really fortunate. We've won 2 or 3 bits of fantastic business and big clients even in the last quarter. We're pitching probably 2 or 3 times a week. We're building our delivery teams of engineers. And so the COVID and lockdown has helped in a sense, because not just about the pitching and the winning stuff, but the way like clients' expectations on delivery have shifted.
Yeah.
We used to drive 400 miles round trip to have a 1-hour status update. And when you look back, you think, what was everybody doing? So clients have dialed down their expectation, which is fantastic, which means we can actually spend more time making a genuine difference. When we talk about freeing clients up from the mundane, like we have bright people, really senior engineers, CTO, like driving 400 miles to do a meeting for an hour to talk about. We shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. So that's one thing that's great. But also it opens up a talent pool that we can access globally, really. Lots of our engineers are Google Cloud certified. And so we've always, there has been a network of people that we would typically go to when we need to dial up and dial down resources. But just the acceptance that that's normal now, that you can get talent from all over the world. And actually that diversity of talent is actually a really important thing, because we don't just have white middle-aged men building systems that can have biases and training models. Like diversity of engineers and diversity of thought, diversity of data science, so data analysts, like it all helps, because there are still people biases in everything that we do.
Fantastic. Very interesting. I'd be good to my background was in software systems and consultancy a long time ago, but we did a lot of work with data, big chunks of stuff. So it'd be good again. I think maybe, as I say, have a separate conversation on more detail what you do. So obviously things change. You said the ability to recruit globally, not just locally, is amazing. So of the adjustments that you've had to make, what will you keep doing even when we get back to whatever new normal looks like?
So I think the big thing that we will absolutely keep is like the concept of a working day being 9 till 5. Like that's really no more for us. It's a Victorian principle where people live within commutable distance of a factory because machines had to run, and we've stuck with it for 200 years. There's examples of AI being used in the education system that are ripping up 250-year-old models about subdividing people by age and ability. Like, tech can change some of that stuff.
Yep.
And so the principles that we have about rewarding and rewarding outcomes and setting objectives around outcomes and not effort is a really important principle, I think. Whether you want to get up at 6 in the morning and then go for a 3-hour run, or that's absolutely fine. And so another thing that we encourage is, our mantra is time to think. That's what we do for our clients. We create time to think. They can make a genuine difference. And so we like to create time to think for our own staff as well. And so even if that's a Friday off, or if you've done your work in 4 days and not 5, like, go and do something good with the world, like join a charity. If there's time to think, it probably helps the whole thing. And so that's in part of our employee handbook, the principle of time to think.
It'd be interesting to trade notes on this and saying we help people get more time back from coming from a different perspective. But I've stood in front of a group of people and said, just imagine if you had more than enough time to put your feet on the table, business leaders, feet on the table and just think. And the look of like, you must be joking. It's incredible, and this whole expectation that even at leadership visionary level, we should be working at 100 mile an hour is nuts. Because how can
people have it as a badge of honor, don't they? They have it as a badge of honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work really hard. I think some people see themselves in an endless walking to-do list, and actually, when you're doing stuff, you're not thinking. And so, an old boss showed me a quadrant, and it's the axis of urgent and important.
Yep.
And it's where you should spend your time. And most of us spend our time doing the stuff that we shouldn't be doing, which is urgent and not important. And it's the stuff that's not urgent, but really important, that you should spend 70% of our time just taking on some of those principles that have been shown to me, and really they transform how you operate. And so I don't mind like not getting back to people on some things for 3 or 4 days, or just saying like, I'm probably not going to get to that for a week or two. Like, it's not going to change anything.
But it's fascinating. I mean, I work with a lot of people on lots of different times. They come with a different perspective, but how often people don't ask a client, when do you need this by?
Yeah.
So they put their own priorities on it. So they'll say, well, I'll get it done by Friday. But if they'd asked somebody and said, when do you need it by? I'd say, well, actually, I'm not using it till the end of Feb. And then all of a sudden, so I'm just creating urgency for the sake of it. I'm just creating, and then I've got to get this done because I've told a client. Well,
so you can even ask them, can't you? What would happen if I didn't get this back to you for 2 weeks?
Absolutely. And most people go, oh no, if you just ask.
Yeah, the thing. So creating time for us, for ourselves, for our teams is really important.
Brilliant. It's great. I can really see how you've really sort of analysed the situation. I guess partially because of what you do and how you would do things differently. So is there anything, if you go back to March, anything you'd have done sooner? Hindsight being a wonderful thing. Is there anything?
Yeah, all of that.
Right.
We did a little bit of the working from home. People could, but they didn't. You should probably, you could encourage things to happen more, couldn't you? Because we're still in our own ways. We still have our own biases. And so it is really difficult to change. Like, we do that as a vision. We know we want to do it, but it doesn't happen overnight, does it? And so it has expedited things. And so, of course, you would kick yourself and say, I shouldn't have tolerated that, or we should have done that sooner. And I think loads of businesses are in that position, aren't they? Like, digital transformation happened because of this. And they've been chewing it over, big corporates for 2 years, and they said, we can't do it. It's a 2-year project. It's too much.
Totally. And then we just had to do it. It's incredible how businesses have changed.
That's biases, isn't it? That's habit. That's bad habit. It's really difficult to stop yourself from doing stuff like that, isn't it?
It is. I mean, habits, good habits are very valuable, but habits that are just keeping us in. There's a great book by a guy called Marshall Goldsmith, who's recognised as the world's top executive coach, and it says it all in the title, which is what got us here won't get us there. So if we were still trying to get in our car and drive places right now, it's not going to do anything. Yeah. So obviously we've come into a third lockdown. It's interesting in that for most people to see the end is in sight with the vaccine, etc. Although we don't know when. What's been your reaction and your team's reaction to the third lockdown?
Okay, so there's me and team, there's personal and business in that, I guess. So there's probably 4 different answers. Yeah. I think the team are more resilient now. All credit to them. I think they've you've seen yourself go through it. You sort of trust yourself, don't you? First time, it's a chat. Like some people panic, some people think, okay, well, we can deal with this, and just like that moment that people react in different ways. And so getting everybody through it together is challenge number one, and we sort of did that. But I think people sort of they sort of believe in themselves now, and they've got through it before, so you can see that sort of old war type mentality. We've had this thrown at us before, and we're fine, we can do that. But I think also what has helped this time is clients' reactions has been better.
Yes.
Well, not better, just different. Better for everybody. There's a spirit of keeping things going, which I think is really important. Personally, I think it's probably more challenging. Like, here we go again, a third lockdown, and we sort of knew it would happen. And listen, we're really, I think, like, contentment comes from perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so if you change your perspective, then I think you can get through it. Like, we've got a garden, like we can go out for a little walk. Like, there are people that are in they're in such worse positions, and so I think you really need to, when you get a bit selfish and think, here we go again, and there's a few expletives in there and what have you, and then you just need to sort of change the lens with which you look through this thing, don't you? Otherwise it would get you down.
Totally agree. It always amazed me. I mean, I've been many people living in Yorkshire, but so we especially personally we can walk out the back door and go walking in the country, but what it would have been like, or is like, living in a small flat in a high rise. Must be just. Yeah, I can't imagine. So
so perspective's important, I think.
Yeah, completely agree. So let's look to the future a little bit. When we get back to something like a new normal, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm not sure. There's the stuff that you take for granted.
Yeah.
So we were really lucky to get away for 7 nights last October to somewhere that was on the corridor. It was Cyprus. It was safe. We had our tests and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never appreciated being sat on a Jet2 aeroplane so much in my life. Like, I've never appreciated the kids shouting at you around the pool so much in my life. There's little things that you just took for granted because you were lucky enough, to maybe have a couple of holidays a year or what have you. Like, you just take stuff for granted, don't you? And perspective is really important. So everything after lockdown, I will appreciate. I appreciate going for walks now with the kids at lunchtime, like we did yesterday. I appreciate it so much more. Like, I appreciate, like, people are losing family members, people are in hospital, friends of friends are, family of friends are. It's really horrendous. So, like, perspective and contentment and happiness for what we've got is something really positive that should come out of this. So everything, taking the bins out, I'll appreciate.
Brilliant. I'm totally behind you on that. I guess the thing that's been people talked about for a few years, not but it's this whole mindfulness, isn't it? It's just enjoying it. I heard a podcast from it's something called a high performance podcast, and they had an interview with Johnny Wilkinson, the Rugby World Cup winning player, and he's totally changed his view from what made him great as a rugby player. And he very much talking about the idea of just whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do it well. And that's my goal. And it literally said, someone said, so he said, even the washing up, I'm just going to do the washing up really well. And somebody said,
steady. Whoa.
Well, I'm not. But the fascinating thing, and he actually said, it's just, that's the most important thing, that everything else, just achievement isn't important. And they said, so literally, that's what he said. So what you're saying is, doing the washing it up well is as important as winning the World Cup. And he said, yes.
Wow.
Fascinating. I mean,
there is something that I totally get that. It's just being in the moment now. And not overly stressing about, like, what's really important.
100%. It really was fascinating as for somebody that's been with primarily OCD type, train, perfection, what could go wrong, worried about everything, to just go, I'm just going to do the washing up really well, and that is a good, that makes me content. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So hopefully there won't be many, but what challenges do you see moving forward, either sort of between now and lockdown, or over the next couple of years? What's the challenges you face?
Yeah, so I mean, there is a really obvious big challenge looming, and that is our teams are growing, and how do we build culture with a really disparate, disconnected team in a physical sense?
Yeah.
And that's a big challenge, because I don't have the answers, but I know to ask people who might.
Yeah.
So that's how we'll get, like, You know, Phil, our CTO and co-founder, Sherelle, our COO, like they're really, really super bright people. And working with them is really fortunate because together we can try and we'll get loads of stuff wrong. But I think collectively as a team, then we'll make good progress. And I think it's going to be really tough. Just like putting new people together remotely it's been really challenging, and we've experienced some of it so far, but I can only see that going one way.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, it is strange, isn't it? But it is a normal, and as you say, even outside of lockdown, the idea that we have to travel a lot to do stuff or have people travel to us is just not as important. But it is replacing the things that used to happen when we met together in some way. It's fascinating. I mean, I interviewed a guy a few weeks ago, and he's literally bought 5 businesses during lockdown, and 3 he's never been to. He's never been to the location. He did it all online, and you just think, you know, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And but yeah, it's funny you said that. I remember my first business driving. We worked in the power generation industry, so a couple of times driving to Dungeness Power Station, which is at the furthest Kent coast, and back in a day for like you said, 1 hour meeting. How nuts was that? In my 20s, that was sort of okay. It was like I had the stamina, but I just couldn't even imagine doing that now.
There's no other way, was there? People had not thought of another way.
I mean, to meet the IT director, I mean, we could. I'm sure even then we could have sorted out some sort of IT-based solution rather than doing that. But there we go. So just a little bit introspective. What have you learned about yourself over this period?
To change my perspective on stuff is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I've totally changed my perspective on some things.
Yeah.
We're not solving issues around cancer. We're not doing really, you know, we're not solving poverty. We're not solving malaria. You know, we're not doing really important stuff, are we?
Yep.
And so if we don't get stuff done today because kids are screaming or other people are doing stuff, don't worry. Like, and that's a mantra for everyone, like throughout the team. Like, I've often said that to our team anyway. Like, clients can get on top sometimes, and things can get challenging, and something new surfaces, and you didn't know about, and there's a bit of tech over there, and it throws the whole project, and you have to recalibrate and just like take it, like try and take it in a stride, try and get a new perspective. Like, we'll get through it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's great. I really get that. I think being self-aware on many different levels, as you say, and not sweat the small stuff. I like the phrase that I think Tony Robbins uses: is if it won't matter in 5 years' time, then it doesn't matter now. And I think it's a great way of overlaying stuff, because some stuff really does seem like it matters, but if you say, well, actually, I won't remember this in 5 years, so I'll give myself a break.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, it's been an absolute pleasure so far, and just to sort of in just the final question would be is what as simple as what's the future look like for you and for the business?
Well, fingers crossed. I'm sure there'll be ups and downs. There'll be other challenges we don't even know about yet. Got that. Fingers crossed that we will continue to grow. We're really lucky with our great team and great clients and fantastic partners as well. And so the horizon looks really good. Who knows what the future might look like? We've got a product roadmap that's really exciting. And so there might be some inward investment at some point in the future, but we just want to ready ourselves for that. We're not looking over there right now. We want to do the best possible job for our clients. We want to make a genuine difference and prove that creating time to think for our clients does genuinely make a difference, and that makes a difference to how they do stuff, their bottom line, whatever their objectives are aligned to them. So the near term is still that. We're absolutely on that time to think vibe. But yeah, we've got exciting product roadmaps and excited engineers that want to do stuff. Brilliant.
Well, look, firstly, it'd be great to come back in a year's time, 12 months time or so, and just see how you're getting on. I love your mission. In terms of getting time back, we do a lot of work with helping clients get time back, and I think it's the most valuable thing we do, both personally to the person to get the time back, but ultimately they're also to the profit of the business, because if the leaders of a business have more than enough time, then their job is, our job is vision and leadership. Well, that's what we should be doing.
If you underestimate it, think about this. It's the single thing that you would give everything for on your last day: more time.
100% agree. It's
nothing else matters on your last day, does it? You don't think, I wish I'd have made more money. I wish I'd have made a bigger business. You just want a bit more time, don't you?
A great man told me a while ago, and he said, when you spent all your money, you can make some more, but when you spent your time, it's gone forever. So how you spend your time for me is the most important thing, and therefore giving people more time or just allocating them, helping them to allocate the time more effective is great. So I'm keen to understand more about how you do that. So hopefully we'll catch up at separate session. Maybe we could do another piece on that. I'd really love that. So Michael, on that note, thank you so much for your time. It's been really fascinating talking to you, and I wish you all the best for the mission that you have.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for watching. What was your takeaway from today's interview? Please post it in the comments below and subscribe for all our upcoming videos, or click for the next video here.